Well, like I was saying, folks, all depending on the screening ratio of your DVD maker, all depending on the screening ratio. Hold on for a second. It should come out good. Should come out. You're just checking something there, folks. Just checking something. But anyway, like I said, the screening ratio, depending on what it is, should be alright. Because like I said, when I downloaded a torrent of the HD Digital Wreck-It Ralph, which I believe was the MKV format and was able to be encoded onto the DVD maker, the format, again, like I said, all depends on, what its ratio is. Oh, excuse me. Taking some airborne there with that coffee. But like I said, it all depends on its ratio. So if it is a 4.3 ratio, in other words, standard television, then it should be alright for standard television. It might get expanded into a 1.85, just saying. Might get stretched to that point, not saying it will be. If it's a 2.85, it'd probably end up the same way. And I think that's what the DVD maker does. I'm not totally sure, but from what I've noticed at times, it all depends on your format. In fact, I remember last week or recently, I encoded, or basically made a DVD of The Return of Jafar. It was another torrent along with the King of Thieves movie that I downloaded before the whole CSA situation came into play. And from what I've noticed, is that the DVD maker encodes it to the point that you kind of get like a box format in a widescreen format. So basically, no matter what it is, you're going to get basically a 1.85. That's the most logical thing, even though you probably get a boxed in thing that's essentially 4.3, if you know what I mean. Now again, you're probably wondering, like I was trying to say in part one, how long does it take to create? How long does the DVD take to create? Well, again, it all depends on your format and how long your format is, or how long your format or formats are. You see, if you add a multitude of different footage, like let's say you want to make a DVD of a wedding. I tried doing this last year after my cousin's wedding in Monterey. I tried to make something, the footage that I did and stuff. I even converted the footage and stuff. But for some reason it wasn't working at that moment. But the point I'm trying to make is, at that time, the point I'm trying to make is at that time, if you will, I had a multitude of a lot of things. And I think I almost filled up the entire DVD thing. Maybe. Not entirely, but almost. So it all depends on how much footage, you have. If you're just doing like one thing, let's say for example, like what I've been mentioning. If you're just, if you just want to have a DVD copy of a movie that you've torrented before the whole CSA Act came into play, you could actually, depending on the format, put that onto the DVD maker and use it. if the movie is almost 3 hours long. Let's say, for example, you've downloaded a torrent of, I don't know, Lincoln. Let's say you did that. Knowing how long that movie is, it'll take a while. You see, on average, all depending, like I said, on your format and the length of the movie, it'll take around an average of 2 to maybe 3 hours. That's basically what it is. And again, it also depends on the multitude of footage that you have. Like I said, if you want to make a DVD, if you want to make a DVD of a wedding or your family vacation, then this would be the opportunity to do that. Because basically what you'd be doing is allowing it to be, I guess you could say, professionally made. You'd be able to have your own custom menus, your own music if you wanted to add it, and all that. But again, it all depends on the multitude of footage that you have. For example, my Disneyland trip last year, I recorded basically about an hour and 50 minutes worth of footage. Now, if I was to add that onto the DVD maker, along with the individual footage that's compiled inside that 110 minutes of footage, compiled, if I was to take some of those videos individually and place them afterwards, you essentially be looking at almost the whole time limit filled up. And that's the only thing about this as well that I will say is a disadvantage. It's the one thing I will say that Windows DVD Maker has that's a disadvantage. The disadvantage is it doesn't allow you to record or make a DVD up to as long as you want. It doesn't allow you to do that. It only gives you the limit of 2 hours and 50 minutes. Now, I don't know if they've improved on that with Windows 8 or if they've just kept it the same. But all I know is it's basically the limited recording limit or DVD playing limit is 2 hours and 50 minutes. So, in a sense, even though it is a disadvantage, it is kind of good. Because, let's say you have 2 movies, for example. Let's say you have about 2 movies. At average, depending on the length, that's what you could fit on there. You could, like I said, on average. Let's say you have a movie that runs about an hour, like say Dumbo. Let's say Disney's Dumbo, which is a little over an hour. Just by 6 minutes. And then let's say you have another movie which runs about an hour. Let's say, 44 minutes, something like that. It all depends on the length. You can add about maybe 2 to maybe 3 44-minute long movies on there, maybe 4 of them. And on average, you can add a movie and maybe another movie as well. Again, all depending on the format. For example, if you have 2 70-minute movies, you can add those 2 70-minute movies. For example, if I want to add Return of Jafar and King of Thieves on one disc, I can't remember what the length of King of Thieves is, then I would be able to do that. But I'm pretty sure it would be enough time, but I'm pretty sure it's not that long, and I'd be able to do that. Again, that's the advantage and disadvantage. The advantage about it is it mostly shows you that the DVD maker is meant for creating DVDs of your home movies, like your vacations, your weddings, holidays, you name it. But it also is not, but also to that advantage is it's not limited to just that. Like I said, you can also make you can also put the torrent versions, AVI versions of movie, AVI, MPEG-1s, Window, WMV, video formats of movies or even shows or specials on them. And that's a great advantage as well. So it's not just limited to its main purpose. Again, though, the disadvantage is the fact that if you wanted to have more, if you wanted to add more, like you wanted to add more footage from your vacations and stuff, but you couldn't because of the time limit, that would be the only disadvantage. Or you want to do a torrent, or you want to make a DVD of a torrent of a movie that's a little over 2 hours and 50 minutes, again, that's the disadvantage. But overall, it's not too bad. It's not. I mean, for example, WWE pay-per-views lately, except with the exception of maybe WrestleMania, on average, a little under 2 hours and 50 minutes. So if you wanted to get a WWE pay-per-view, let's say off a torrent, which you won't be able to now anymore, but let's say you were still able to, there's your answer right there. Your answer right there. Now, there is an advantage, there is sort of a way of getting around that whole no more torrent situation to basically use the DVD maker, if you will. Now, like I said, all depending on the format. It all depends on the format. Now, I said earlier in part 1 that MP4 for some reason is not accessible to it. But if you have a video converting program, like I have audio video converter, if you have a video converter program, my most recommended suggestion, as a matter of fact, is to convert whatever video you have that's MP4 into an AVI. Or WMV. That's my most, or MPEG-1. Those are my 3 most likely sources to convert a video into, so you can put it on to your DVD. Even MKV if you can. If you want to. Even MKV. Now you might say, well, what do you mean by that, Brian? If we can't do torrents anymore, what do you mean by that? Well, it's real simple. It's real simple. There's 2 sites online called SaveVid and KeepVid. SaveVid and KeepVid basically allow you to do the same thing with YouTube. It allows you, well, not just with YouTube, SaveVid allows you to do more with YouTube, Dailymotion, Blimp, and many other video sites. KeepVid is mainly for YouTube. But mainly what they both do is they allow you to download a video in whatever format that's available for that video. A majority of the time, the format will be MP4. Sometimes it'll be just FLV, and sometimes it'll be 3GP, if you know what I mean. Now, whatever format's available, or even WEBRF. But anyway, any format that's available, what you do after you download the video from that format is you basically go to your video converting software that you have and you convert it to one of the 3 that I mentioned. It's either, mostly in my opinion, AVI, which I use most of the time, or WMV, or MPEG-1. Then that way you can upload those later on onto your DVD maker, and thus they will encode them into an MPEG-2 format. So, and thus they will allow you to have a DVD of said movie or whatever event program that you were able to get off YouTube or Dailymotion or Blimp. That's what I did with Return to Jafar, but I was able to do that because I got Return to Jafar off a torrent. But you get the idea of what I'm saying. Overall, the DVD maker, like I said, has a lot of advantages. Again, some slight disadvantages. Like I said, one of the disadvantages, and I'll let you know about that in a second,